Now, from your local news leader, Alabama News Network.
People say their final goodbyes to the state's first female Lieutenant Governor, Lucy Baxley. I'm Danielle Wallace, and I have that coming up.
Plus, turmoil in Alabama's Democratic Party. Find out why one lawmaker wants the party's leaders to resign.
The town of Georgiana has been without a police chief for almost 3 days, but that doesn't mean city residents aren't being protected. I'm Caitlin Klein, and I'll show you exactly how Butler County is pitching in to keep Georgiana residents safe. I've got the story from the South Alabama newsroom.
And a civil rights icon is honored in a special way in Montgomery.
This is Alabama News Network at 6 on CBS 8.
Good evening, I'm Stephanie Hicks.
And I'm Jeff Sanders in tonight for Daryl Hood. This is Local News First on CBS 8. Family, friends, and state lawmakers are saying their final goodbyes to Alabama's first female Lieutenant Governor, Lucy Baxley.
Reporter Danielle Wallace spoke to people close to her at her funeral service this morning. She joins us now live with more in tonight's big story on CBS 8.
It's a bittersweet day for those that knew Lucy Baxley, better known to some people as Miss Lucy.
The state has lost a true stateswoman who's showed strength and resilience throughout, even after she was struck with her illness.
Baxley passed away last week. She was the state's first female lieutenant governor from 2003 to 2007. She also served as the president of the Alabama Public Service Commission. After losing as the Democratic nominee for governor against Bob Riley in 2006, she suffered a stroke that left her confined to a wheelchair.
I bet the accomplishment that she's most proud of is being a fantastic mother and grandmother, and I think that's probably what she'd want to be remembered for.
Despite her illness, people remembering her remember a strong woman.
She didn't let the illness capture her. She basically took control of it.
It's those memories that fill some with peace.
Now she's free of her wheelchair and free of her infirmities, and that is a blessing in disguise.
And for family members, it's an honor to see many people from across the state send their condolences.
Our hearts are just filled with gratitude and thanks for the love shown for everybody that came out that she loved and cared so much about.
They say her hard work and dedication speaks for itself.
Every ounce of honesty and integrity in her, I think, shows a lot in the friendships that she made.
After today's funeral, Baxley's graveside service was held in Ashford. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much. A true trailblazer in Alabama politics. Thanks, Danielle. Lucy Baxley was 78 years old. Well, state minority leader Craig Ford wants a change in leadership in the Alabama Democratic Party. He's stepping down as House Minority Leader and is also asking the heads of the party to resign. Ford has sent a letter to state Democratic Party leaders Nancy Worley and Joe Reed. In that letter, he addressed the lack of Democratic representation in local elections across the state. He also called out Democratic leaders for not being vocal against the recent controversies surrounding Republican state leaders. Ford says he's stepping aside as House Minority Leader to allow new leaders to focus on the future of the state Democratic Party. And Chairwoman Nancy Worley released a statement today saying in part, quote, "A recent comment against my Democratic Party leadership is a desperate attempt to grab a headline when one's job as minority leader is on the line. While Craig has never called me or sat down or talked with me about his concerns, his attacks for attention when he should be working for our Democratic ticket."
A judge is denying convicted Alabama House Speaker Mike Hubbard's request for a new trial. A Lee County judge says Hubbard failed to show that jurors were biased against him when they convicted him on ethics charges. He says since Hubbard was convicted on some of the ethics charges, that suggests that jurors weighed the evidence in making their decision. Hubbard was convicted in June and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. He is free on bond while he appeals his case. A Wetumpka woman has died after a two-car crash in Coosa County. Troopers say 66-year-old Gloria Allen died yesterday after the car she was a passenger in hit a tractor trailer. That crash happened around 8 o'clock last night on Highway 115 west of Kellyton. Troopers say the driver of the car was also injured and taken to UAB Hospital for treatment. The tractor trailer driver was not hurt. The cause of that crash is still under investigation.
From the West Alabama newsroom, an inmate who escaped a work release center in Wilcox County is now back behind bars. Corrections officials say 31-year-old Jonathan Hill escaped from the Camden work release program a little before 8:30 this morning. He was serving a 20-year sentence for a 2014 robbery out of Mobile. Authorities recaptured Hill about 3 hours later in the woods behind the work release center.
With 20 days until Election Day, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are preparing for tonight's final presidential debate. The race has turned even more combative since the last debate 10 days ago. Danielle Nottingham has more in this Campaign 2016 report.
Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump will meet in their final presidential debate at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas tonight. The latest national poll shows Clinton is ahead by 9 points in a four-way race.
I don't believe the polls anymore. I don't believe them.
In recent days, Trump said the election is rigged despite offering no evidence of voter fraud.
You know, the election is rigged. That's his new thing.
The Republican nominee is expected to raise questions about Clinton's trustworthiness. WikiLeaks has released a steady stream of hacked emails from Clinton campaign manager John Podesta. In one exchange, Podesta wrote the campaign had taken on a lot of water over Clinton's email scandal. Clinton will get the first question tonight, and experts predict the fireworks will fly soon after that.
I think he will literally throw everything in the kitchen sink at Hillary.
Dr. Jacob Thompson is a professor and debate coach at UNLV. He says Clinton should be ready for the unexpected.
It's going to be ugly, I think.
Since the last debate, more than half a dozen women have accused Trump of unwanted sexual advances, allegations he denies. Experts say tonight's face-off could reach new lows in presidential debate history. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, Las Vegas, Nevada.
The third presidential debate begins tonight at 8 o'clock. You can watch complete coverage here on CBS 8.
Well, if you filed your taxes this year using the online filing service TurboTax, listen up. Several programming errors in their software may have led to some 36,000 incorrectly filed tax returns. The Alabama Revenue Department warned about the issue over the summer, and those who got those notifications were told to file an amended return. The deadline to file those returned electronically is this Sunday, October 23rd.
Residents in the city of Georgiana may be worried about their safety after the police chief resigned earlier this week and several officers left with him. But reporter Caitlin Klein took a look into what's being done to keep those residents safe. She has the story now from the South Alabama newsroom.
4 officers walked out with the Georgiana police chief when he resigned on Monday. And while one officer did come back and withdraw his resignation, that still leaves the city of Georgiana without a police chief and 3 officers. But that doesn't mean city residents aren't being protected, because the Butler County Sheriff's Office has stepped up to help out.
We're patrolling down here to make sure that the people know that there's law and order here. And if they have a problem, we're going to be there.
I'm going to tell you, it's a blessing to have Mr. Harden and his sheriff officer helping us.
Butler County Sheriff Kenny Harden says he and his deputies will be helping out in Georgiana for as long as they're needed.
We're going to be around the clock here, just like we would be in the county. If they have a problem, all they got to do is call 911, or if they actually call the Georgiana Police Department, they're going to let us know, and we will respond to it.
But even though the city needs new officers, Mayor Antone says he and the city council will make sure to hire the right people for the job.
We're going to do a thorough investigation on the chief, a thorough investigation on the officers, so we can make sure the citizen of Georgiana is well taken care of, because it's all about the citizen of Georgiana.
The city of Georgiana is accepting applications for a chief and other officers at this time. Reporting in Georgiana, I'm Caitlin Klein, Alabama News Network.
Mayor Antone also named 21-year-old Georgiana officer Garrett Goodson as the interim chief until that position can be filled permanently. The mayor also told us he hopes to have a new chief ready for the president to present to the city council by November the 7th. Demopolis Mayor Mike Grayson is discussing the economic impact of a new multi-million-dollar sawmill heading to the city next year.
Reporter George McDonald has more on this from the West Alabama newsroom.
It's what we've been working on for a long time.
Demopolis Mayor Mike Grayson says the decision by Two River Lumber Company to build a new state-of-the-art sawmill in Demopolis means hundreds of jobs are on the way to the city.
We're looking forward to them creating about 55 to 60 jobs initially as they do one shift, and then as they add that second shift, probably up to about 100 or so jobs.
Between the spinoffs and the direct jobs, it could easily be a couple of hundred new jobs in this area. And that is really, really exciting and amazing for a community like Demopolis.
The new sawmill will be located at the Port of Demopolis in a 100,000 square foot building owned by the city, giving it access to a 4-lane highway, a railroad, the Tombigbee River, and an airport, all from one location.
All 4 modes of transportation centralized in that one spot right there.
Grayson says the sawmill project is about a $70 million investment that will have an impact on the whole community for years to come.
You know, this will have a very positive impact on real estate, on banking, on our school, even our healthcare facilities. George, I can't see one downside to this.
From the West Alabama Newsroom, I'm George McDonald, Alabama News Network.
And construction on the project is scheduled to start in January. The new sawmill is expected to be up and running by September.
There is a new historical marker in the state of Alabama honoring the life and accomplishments of civil rights attorney Fred Gray. That marker was unveiled today in Tuskegee at the site of his first law practice. It's now a federal savings and loan building across from Tuskegee University. During the civil rights movement, Gray worked with Martin Luther King Jr. and E.D. Nixon. City officials, friends, and colleagues of Gray attended today's ceremony. He says that he's honored that the city that he called home for so many years has this marker.
I'm aware of the fact that the master indicated that you usually are not honored in your own home. But for you here at home to honor me today, including my fraternity brothers, the Omegas who are out there, and all the rest of you, I want you to know that this really is the greatest honor that I have received.
By the way, Gray was the first African-American elected president of the Alabama State Bar and served as the president of the National Bar Association in 1985 and 2001. Hornets head coach Brian Jenkins is talking about serving his 1-game suspension. That plus Magic City Classic guidance later in sports.
And area leaders are learning more about their community at a special luncheon today. That's coming up after the break.
And more record warmth out there today, and I think we've got another repeat of that tomorrow, but much cooler air is on the way. The details on that straight ahead.
You're watching the Alabama News Network on CBS 8. You're watching Alabama News Network at noon from your local news leader with Olivia Dees, meteorologist Alicia Wilson. Alabama News Network is on CBS 8 and Montgomery CW.
Welcome to Alabama News Network at noon here on CBS 8 and the CW. I'm Olivia Dees. Thanks for joining us. Topping our news at noon, another nationally televised football game is coming to the capital city. Jeff Sanders joins us live in the Montgomery newsroom with more. Jeff.
Well, Olivia, that game will be called the Montgomery Kickoff Classic, and it will take place at Montgomery's CRAMTON Bowl to start the 2017 college football season. Officials from the city of Montgomery, along with the Central Alabama Sports Commission and ESPN, made the announcement this morning. The game is set for August 26th of next year. It will pit 2 powerhouse FCS teams. That's Jacksonville State University and the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. City officials say they believe the game will make the Montgomery area even more synonymous with sports, tourism in the Southeast. And they believe that a passionate fan base from both schools will make it a big success.
They have a tremendous band that's well known throughout the Southeast. So they're going to be bringing a great football team. They're going to be bringing a great fan base, a great halftime band. And Chattanooga will do the same. So we feel very, very blessed to be chosen by ESPN to have the first college football game of 2017.
By the way, the game will be owned and operated by ESPN, and it will be in addition to the Camellia Bowl, which also takes place at CRAMTON Bowl at the end of the college football season. Olivia.
All right, Jeff, thank you. And that leads us to our Tracking the Web question of the day. With the announcement of the inaugural Montgomery Kickoff Classic at CRAMTON Bowl in Montgomery to air next season on ESPN, do you think Montgomery is on the verge of becoming a national sports destination? We want to know what you think. Just head over to our Facebook and Twitter pages to join the conversation. Just look for Alabama News Network. More Real Talk was happening at the Rosa Parks Museum today. The topic of conversation today in the Real Talk panel series, juvenile sentencing. Panelists from the Equal Justice Initiative were among those discussing what they call the horror that adolescents and juveniles face when they're charged with violent crimes. Participants are hoping to raise awareness of the issue in an effort to improve the juvenile justice system in Alabama.
Just so that this cycle of crime and violence doesn't keep happening. Education's key to having those issues eliminated. So we want the community to come in, have a discussion with people who study these kind of issues on a daily basis, so they'll get to know how they can become more involved in getting rid of this problem.
The next and final session of the Real Talk series is scheduled for next Tuesday. The topic of conversation will be human trafficking. Was it an accidental death or intentional murder? That's what a Georgia jury will try to determine in the hot car death trial of Justin Ross Harris. Harris is accused of leaving his 22-month-old son to die in the back seat of his hot SUV outside his office building in 2014. The defense claims Harris was distracted but a loving father who tragically forgot to drop the toddler off at daycare. But prosecutors say he was unhappy and unfaithful in his marriage and wanted his child out of the way.